Podría haber estado grabando esto, la verdad.
Por ahí estará Calvito, seguramente.
La arena de PvP.
Por ahí estará Calvito, Rex.
Esa, la mina machaca sangre.
Está muy chula, la verdad, esa arena.
¡Oh, pejón!
¿Cómo se llamaba este sitio, tío? Bosque. No.
Tienen los mismos cofres, todos.
¡Ella ropa!
¿Cómo saco al Nizam?
Eso es al lado de la cervecería del trueno.
Tiene también los puños.
Esa es la cervecería del trueno.
Vale, ahora cuando subas de nivel.
Cerveza como esta.
La
Salito.
banda. Sí.
Pero
Que
todos
he ido
pegan
dos
puñetazos
veces.
muy rápido.
Yo esto le he hecho un huevo.
El putísimo panda que devuelve a la mano la carta.
Pues ya ves, qué cartaza.
¿Eh?
Ah, con la F me
Que vaya
curo.
cartón.
Ah, pero no veo tu stand tampoco. Yo pensaba que era porque no tenía
Pablo de
stand.
Alianza. Putísimo Vol'jin. Guardos otra vez.
Draenor.
Dios.
Voy a hacerme un sándwich.
Puño negro. La mejor skin de Doomfist.
Pues sí. No es Doomfist.
¿Me matas, cabrón?
El bueno de Killrog.
Te he matado una hora.
¿Qué?
Que te matas de una hora.
Cargaz.
Gente, que voy para allá. Ahora, si subes de nivel, tú.
Vaya friki eres, Emilio.
El Valle Sombra Luna.
¿Y con qué habilidades se tiran? O sea, con qué botones se tiran.
Te lo pones cuando los desbloqueas.
El bosque de Tero... No, sí, este es el bosque de Terocar.
No respawnea el boss este, por cierto.
Esperad.
Fundición Roca Negra.
Eso sí me lo sabía.
Hombre. El mismísimo
Este es
Gul'dan.
Anduin.
Este es el carcelero.
Ah, que te rompen la defensa, qué cabrón.
Puño negro ahí con todos sus súbditos. Lairel. El profeta Belen.
Que me gana un poli corrupto, tío.
Menudo crack, el Beren.
El mismísimo Gromash.
¿Pero cómo corre?
Y Gidan.
No, esta canción estaba en Silithus.
Bullying.
Mira esto. Mira cómo molo.
Turalion y Aleria,
Coño, ¿y eso?
que son novios. Bueno, tienen dos hijos.
Especial.
Qué cabrón.
Espérate, que tengo más. Desbloqueas el de
Turamar,
Pero yo no
Sí,
quiero a
lo
The
que
Hunt, tío.
Karazhan, todos los bosses de Karazhan.
Yo no quiero a The Hunt.
¿Por qué?
No me gusta.
Ah, eso es Hell.
Porque
Sí.
es feo.
¿Por qué no te gusta?
¿Qué es eso?
Porque es muy feo.
Balarán, imagino.
No.
Porque es muy feo.
¿Por qué?
No será la
Cambio,
zona,
le-
lo de la Torre de Magos, pero.
¿Puedo cambiar de stat?
Luego
bien?
de Nefaria,
Espérate.
los putos de
¿Con qué?
Hunter.
Necesitas otra flecha.
¿Y con, qué,
Hacemos misiones, creo.
con qué habilidad has tirado? O sea, ¿cómo has tirado
Uy,
las
Dan.
habilidades?
Subiendo el nivel mi stand.
Ah, bueno, pero igual yo que sé,
¡Vaya!
igual tengo otra.
Perfecto, no me he perdido Shadowlands. O sea, PFA.
No, la mejor expansión del juego no te la has perdido.
Solo tira C y R.
La tumba de Sargueras,
Entonces tengo que hacer
y
misiones.
la batalla de carga, y ahora empieza la mejor expansión del juego.
Pero
Ahí
tú
está.
tienes ya otra.
Mamá.
Buah, tío, cómo me gustaba. Con la música,
Álvaro,
putos pulperas de mierda y los mecanomos.
¿tú tienes otra habilidad ya o no?
Sí.
Que son
Increíbles.
O sea, os has
Rey
hecho, ¿no?
Rastakan y Megatorque, tío.
Putísimo
El
rey
mono,
Rastakhan.
¿Tienes más
tío, el mono.
flechas?
Puto mono.
Hija de puta.
Soy el mismo que Mira,
Yo soy
quédate
4.
quieto, quédate quieto.
Sí, yo soy nivel 4, man.
Dios.
Ah, esa habilidad la tengo yo también.
Puto Zandalari. No
más
Con
te
armadura
tiras.
dinástica,
No, no,
Ya ves.
No tienes estabilidad, no.
Uf,
Mira, eso no
no,
lo tenías tú de alfombrilla.
Está en mi alfombrilla.
muy chula esa imagen.
Sí.
Y esta también, aunque represente algo muy malo.
¿Qué stand es ese?
¿Qué?
Sí, ¿qué stand el campo que
Y
teníamos?
Aloza.
Ahí está.
¡Madre! ¡Sala buena, coño!
Las razas aliadas.
Los Magar. Los Hierro Negro.
Los enanos hierro negro. Dios.
Bueno, me salgo.
Cazaralor.
No había-
La
no había
batalla.
visto esta foto.
No.
¡Tete!
La pantalla de carga del esto.
Que has de muteado.
De la cámara del corazón. El niño.
Gay. Un minutito, un minutito. Ahora toca Shadowlands. ¿No ha salido fuerte?
Se termina el tiempo y pondrá And now. Boom. O algo así.
Mm.
Enjuiciadora.
Nada, pero esto está bien. Las primeras zonas estaban bien. Bastión y tal.
Nos flipó mucho Sauron cuando salió. Las cosas como son.
Sí.
Pero
Ya
no hicieron,
realmente es que guapos
no hicieron las
cambios.
cosas bien.
Ah, que ahora sí.
En el último
No,
parche
me
sí.
refiero que.
Joder,
No, el último parche está bien. Y no han tardado en sacarlo. El último parche es lo que tendría que haber sido el 9.1.
Let's go, chavales.
No tiene más. Porque el 9.0 tenía que haber durado 2 meses, como mucho.
¡Mototruco, mototruco!
Duran demasiadas expansiones. Y si la gracia de las expansiones es hacer míticas y hay 3, pues.
Ojo.
Vamos para allá.
Ahora pone este.
Del tirón.
¿Ya?
Directo cinemática,
¿Del tirón ya?
¡Puf!
Vale, será un repaso, será un
Varian.
repaso.
Ah.
Mucho Lich, está saliendo.
Guau, qué guapa está esta cinemática. Ven, Matthew.
Cállate, qué asco. Eso sí.
¡Un murlo!
Eso sí.
Bueno, Background,
Y ya.
¿no vas a ponerlo de abajo?
Y ya.
No lo vas a
No,
poner, lo voy a decir luego
eso
en
será un
maleta.
mini trailer.
Hi everyone, I'm John Height, General Manager for Warcraft, and with me today are my friends
Venga, está alemán.
Ian Hazacostas, who is the Game Director for World of Warcraft, and Holly Longdale, who leads up the production team for WoW Classic.
Chaval, ¿sabes?
I really appreciate you
Classic.
tuning in. I know we're really excited to be able to give you updates on what's happening in World of Warcraft. But first, I want to thank our community for all the feedback you've given us this year, and especially our community council. You've helped shape and influence the updates that we've done recently and what you're going to see in the upcoming year.
I mean, really, for Shadowlands in particular, the story of the last 9 months or so of this expansion is all about the community, and it's shaped by what we've been hearing from them,
Joder, pues
and
medio mal.
us realizing as a team that we just collectively needed to do a better job of making sure the community felt heard, and so that led us to the changes we
Engordado,
made in
Javi Costas.
9.15, but also really re-examining some of the assumptions and foundations of World of Warcraft about things like character investment and mains versus alts, or how catch-up should work, or the appropriate role of friction in our systems. And I think 9.15 represented a step in the direction of letting players have more freedom to play World of Warcraft the way they want to play it. And we really built our Eternity's End content update from the ground up around those principles.
What are some of the things that the community said that influenced your decisions for Eternity's End?
Things like the method and pacing of acquisition of the Covenant Legendary item, tons of tuning, and I think every step of the way, we were listening to make sure that we were carrying forward those lessons learned in the course of 9.15 into Eternity's End and beyond.
So, WoW Classic came about because of the community.
Yeah, they continue to help guide and support us as Classic evolves.
World of Warcraft has always been about the world and the players that inhabit it, and we are in a lot of ways curators
Eso no hace falta que lo
of
jures.
that journey and of that experience. And so once this Classic community formed and grew, we had to listen to them.
It's this tide of listening to the community and paying attention to what is a good experience for our players now. And where we really saw a sea change in this idea is with our Season of Mastery round, which is a Season of Fresh Start Classic. And initially we were talking about it like it was going to be like a fresh start. Let's try this experiment in a season. It'll be about a year long. And then when the community found out about it, we started seeing this upswell.
Yeah, the team just took that idea and ran with it
Yes.
and turned, what started out as a small community project into this Soul of Iron system that became a centerpiece of Season of Mastery and a whole new opt-in hardcore mode that we've seen communities built around.
Yeah.
Lots of, thrilling victory and painful defeat.
5 hours. I made it 5 hours.
Yeah, and it continues, like Burning Crusade Classic. We wanted to balance the Paladin seals between Horde and Alliance, so we made an addition there. We wouldn't have gotten there without the community's input.
So, influence the community. You've got another update and pretty significant controversial change for this.
Yeah, cross-faction play coming in 9.25. which is on a public test ROM now, as a big
Ian,
centerpiece.
Cross Faction. You're breaking with a 17-year tradition.
Yeah, it's something. It was not an easily made decision by any means, you know. And I think this is another one of those areas where really we try to take to heart community feedback and requests, and ask ourselves as a team whether there's a way to accommodate such an earnestly held desire and still feel like we're being true to the roots of the game. The players' desire to play with their friends who might prefer a different faction, or to play with the faction that they more closely identify with, even though their raid group is elsewhere.
It's really important for me. I play a lot of alts, and I love absorbing the story for each race, and having that ability to play with all of my friends across factions is fantastic.
At the end of the day, the battle cry is for the Horde. It's not against the Alliance. It's not death to the Alliance. It's about pride in one's faction.
muerte a la
There's a
alianza,
way
¿qué
to
cojones?
preserve that and even strengthen that, while giving players the ability to make the same choice we've seen the greatest heroes make time and time again.
I can't wait to do this. I'm seeing a lot of my friends that I never knew had a max level character in the other faction suddenly come out of the woodwork.
And then, you know, with these cross-faction groups, many of them are going to be diving into something new that we're doing to kind of cap off Shadowlands, a Season 4. Kind of a remix, a bit of a greatest hits, revisiting all of our raid zones across the expansion, bringing in some familiar older favorites into the Mythic Plus rotation. And, you know, we recognize this is kind of a closing chapter, a little bit of a send-off
Oh,
to
yes, Emilio.
Shadowlands. As everyone gets ready for what happens next, what will come next, want to give, you know, a fun new challenge for everyone to sink their teeth into.
Really cool stuff for Modern WoW players. I'm super excited about the gear upgrades that you're going to give me and the chance to go back and play some of those awesome raids.
There's a lot to explore. Very exciting.
For our next adventure in World of Warcraft, we're going to go back to Azeroth.
Bien.
We're going to a space with high fantasy. I mean, our fans have asked for this for a long time. This has been kind of the foundation of much of the lore of WoW. So, without further ado, let's
go.
watch the cinematic.
Va a ser la zona esta.
Vamos, 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 vamos.
El mundo emerald este 100%.
Ah.
Vision Entertainment.
Silencio.
¡Paf!
Hace 10 millones de años.
Va a ser lo que yo te digo 100%.
The world has been sundered. It cries out in pain. We must go to its aid.
Ahí están. Ahí están.
We entrust our ancestral home to you, the Watchers. Let the land slumber, hidden even from our own eyes. You will feel our return in the waking of the land. Then, you must light the beacon of Tearhold, lest the path home be lost to us forever.
Dragonflight.
Wake up. Buenos días.
10.000 millones de años han pasado. Ahí va.
Justo no he sobrevivido. A prender el faro, compadre.
Va a su ritmo el pavo,
Espera un momento.
Lo vigía.
¡Que esperes!
Solo ha sobrevivido este.
va.
El admin.
No va.
No funciona,
Venga.
Se va a
No.
romper.
Tiene pinta. Se va a destruir el mismo para...
Se va a caer para atrás ahora. No, simplemente se va a romper. Morir va a morir. Joder, muerto. Me habéis
Ahí
caído.
va.
Mierda. Ah, ha cumplido su función. Y ahora viene un dragón y le salva.
¡Ahí va! ¡A destraza!
Inesperado.
¡Hala! Yo quiero ser el mejor amigo de este tío. Los Dortmund,
100%
Ali, Calecos.
¿Será esa muerta?
Será su hija. Es verdad, gitano.
The world is healing. But her fate is yet uncertain. Together, we shall be Azeroth's protectors once again. Here, the new age of dragons shall begin.
Ahí está.
Está guapo el barco,
Me queda un poco igual, la verdad.
Literal.
No es tan impresionante como el de
Dragons.
Urban, pero...
Dragons.
No
This is
quiero
so cool.
ir con los
No one
titanes.
saw it
estos,
coming.
¿cómo se
No
llama?
one saw it coming. Carefully kept secret.
Dragones sí, pero
But
están no-
seriously, I mean, what did we just see there?
The awakening of the Dragon Isles. The
¿Raza nueva o
return
qué? O sea, raza,
of
raza y
dragons,
clase.
The dawn of a new
Seguro.
age.
Ahora lo
We've seen
dirán.
Rathian
Pero-
searching
Míralo, ahí está.
for his father's legacy,
Seguro.
searching for the Dragon Isles. There's a reason why he hasn't been able to find them until now.
The beacon going off. Is that summoning
no,
the
que sí.
dragons?
It is removing the concealment that had hidden the
¿qué?
Dragon Isles from the world, but
no se la
also
pierda la
beckoning
clase.
the dragons back urgently in a time of need.
I assume pretty good variety of locales within the Dragon Isles. It's-
Yes, the Dragon Isles, as kind of standard for WoW expansion, consist of 5 zones,
Jo, me
4
recuerda a
standard
BFA,
leveling zones, and a new starter
Esta
zone
zona de
that we'll
hielo-
get to in a second.
Can you talk a little bit about how the team found ways to thread the dragon aspects throughout the environment?
The Dragon Isles are a place that is lush and primal, bursting with
zona linda.
elemental energy. As Azeroth herself reawakens, those primal forces are expressed throughout the environment, whether it's magma activity, volcanic activity, whether it's the icy wastes of the Azure Span, and each one of those has a connection to
Parece
the
Colinas
dragonflight
Pardas.
that we've seen before. And it's going to be an amazing place for players to arrive at and explore.
All right, you know I'm going to ask.
Yes, okay, so
Can I be a dragon?
let's start getting into some features here and what Dragonflight means for you as well as just the place. So first off, yes, we have an all-new playable race, the Drakthir race.
No me lo
Uh,
puedo
this
creer
is
que
a
vayan a sacar
No me lo
esa
puedo
mierda.
creer.
race, but
No
dragons
puede
have
ser
the
que hayan sacado esta mierda.
ability to take on a humanoid form.
What classes can they be?
They have
Tiene habilidades únicas. Esto ya se filtró.
That doesn't quite fit
Lo
any
que
of our
feo
existing
Son
classes.
horribles.
So what we're doing
Es
is
una
this is not
clase
just a new
nueva con
race,
una raza
but
nueva.
it's also
Son
a new
muy
class.
puto
You know,
feos.
adding a new race to World of Warcraft and not just an ally race is something that we don't do lightly.
Porque
But
es
telling this
literalmente
expansion
el de hace-
story so focused around dragons felt like the perfect time for it. So if you are a Drakthir, you will be the Evoker class.
Es un caster.
Drakthir can only be Evokers, Evokers can only be Drakthir. And the reason why only a Drakthir could be an Evoker is that an Evoker is really
O sea, es un
combining
mago, pero
the ability to call upon the magic of the different aspects with the unique physical gifts that a Drakthir has. The ability to actually take flight and do an Onyxia-style
A ver,
taking deep breath over the
Lo que es la
battlefield,
clase va a
land
estar
on
muy
the
guapa
other side,
probablemente.
knock everyone back with a wing buffer,
literalmente lo de
and then
tirarte para
unleash
arriba
your
es lo
magical
del,
abilities.
Yes,
lo del
please.
DK Frost. que
The
tiras un
Evoker
dragoncito
has
para
two
adelante.
specializations. They're a hybrid of either range DPS or healer. And
Healer!
they wear male armor. We figured, with the new hero class
Otra malla, por fin.
added over the years, we have enough melee. We don't need more of those, and also probably don't need any more leather wearers.
The raid leaders are going to love you for that.
Exactly. This is definitely a hero class, and so that means that like the Death Knights before them or Demon Hunters, they will be starting level 58, and then they're going to have a new starter zone. So they're going to have a slightly different journey into the Dragon Isles as opposed to the rest of us that are sailing there from other parts of Azeroth.
Can you talk a little bit about the customizations? Like what is going to be able to identify my Drakthir character?
Pues que es un dragón.
Basically anything and everything. Skin color, hair color, jewelry, tattoos.
Ah, tiene
other
forma humana.
adornments.
Uy, la forma humana es linda,
The expression
O la
of
forma,
your
la
identity.
forma humana es muy bonita, pero para
New
hacer DPS
zone,
vas a tener que ponerte en
Your
modo dragón.
class,
Yep.
your race. Well, tell us about some of the system updates. or-
¿Y quiénes
Of
son?
course, the new expansion
¿Quiénes?
brings
¿Cómo
with
son
it,
los de la Horda?
new
Porque son
systems,
los
new
de la Ali.
features.
No, son iguales.
In recent expansions,
¿Son iguales?
one of
Sí,
the
son
things
iguales.
that we need to do is really have these deep features.
O a lo mejor no son humanos.
Parecen literalmente
tied to a specific
humanos,
expansion that would then get left behind as
Claro,
we
claro,
go.
los de la Horda a lo mejor no son humanos. O a lo mejor solo son Horda, son Ali.
From players that, it's kind of a bummer to start off every new expansion by leaving a large part of your character behind, by leaving a large part of your progression
La
behind.
forma humana está
So this
muy
time
guapa.
around, what we're doing
Pero la
is
forma de
really
dragón
pouring
es
all of our energy
lamentable.
into permanent revamps, overhauls, and improvements
Claro,
to
Claro,
World of
claro,
Warcraft's
es
core
una puta
systems.
mesura eso.
Things
claro.
like our progression systems.
Hombre, es que tengas que
space
estar siempre en
account
forma dragón
system,
no mola, tío.
something that we
A
want
lo mejor de
to
healer no.
¿Cómo te
A lo
va a
mejor de
quedar?
healer vas en humano, pero pegas en dragón.
Take a look at professions.
Ojalá porque están
So
muy
with the
guapos.
talent revamp and the arrival of
Ya, ya.
Classic,
A lo mejor es
did you
híbrido.
learn anything about how
Sí,
our talents
literalmente
work?
tira
I think
bolas.
seeing a new generation of
Bolas
players
verdes, que
play with those talents and work through those talent trees really underscored some of the things that, frankly, we lost.
A lo de los talentos es para Classic.
To the Mists of Pandaria style talents and beyond. A big piece of that was some of just the granularity, the feeling of
O sea,
getting
que
a
todo lo
level
que
and
se ha-
spending
todo lo
a
que
point
se ha
to
liqueado es
customize
verdad.
your
Lo he dicho,
character
que si se
in
liquea una hora
some
antes era verdad.
specific
Qué
way.
puto triste. No, si
But
se ha
also,
liqueado a las 9 de la
that
mañana.
sense
Ah.
of hybridity that you could have. That's something that we've largely lost. And so the new
Míralo.
talent system avoids directly pitting
Los talentos están
player
guays.
power throughput
Eso por lo
choices
menos.
directly against those sort of utility hybrid choices because we know that there's always a right outcome there.
Tiene el convoke.
And we also
Tiene el
understand
convoke
that,
de talento.
there's a lot of strength in the flexibility of the
No,
modern
es el
talent
Convoke.
system.
Es que han reciclado la imagen.
Customize their talents for a particular encounter or for
Bueno, esas
dungeons
cosas nunca
versus
van a cambiar.
PvP, and we don't
Lo
want to lose
suelen
any
hacer,
of that.
sí, pero...
So John, UI?
Oh my God. Yes, I got this 30-inch monitor trying to keep track of where I am on the map, all my buffs, and oh, over here, what's going on in chat. It has literally made my eyes go like this. So,
You're not alone in that. We've made a lot of incremental changes and additions over the years, but really this is a revamp, this is an overhaul. And so we're excited to really modernize the look and feel while staying true to the origins of World of Warcraft. Now at the same time, we're not looking to take away the sort of power user customization there. Add-ons are still there if you want them, but we want a much better default out-of-the-box experience for all players, new and old alike.
and can I reduce elements, remove elements if I want to explore the world and
Han metido en el
the
UI.
beauty of Azeroth?
When it comes to specific elements, we must possibly want to let players choose what to show and what to hide
Okay,
so
el UI se va a
that
quedar
they
para
can
siempre.
control it
Sí,
themselves.
sí, el VI
You
lo voy a
mentioned
usar tranquilo.
professions.
¿Las
I have a
profesiones?
critical question about
Ahí
this.
está, lo que te he
Go
dicho.
on.
Que
Can I
quiten
wear
el
a
límite.
chef's hat?
Yeah, I knew it.
El límite, ¿no? Que al
Our
menos sea
approach to professions in Dragonflight is really all about delivering on fantasy and identity as a crafter. And so, if you want to be a serious blacksmith, if you want to be a great leather worker, we want to deliver the ability
suena el minero,
to invest time and energy into that, become a master crafter, be able to make items that are in demand, interact with the community. One of the big pieces that we want to do to support that is a new work order system to have a bit more convenience than just spamming trade chat all day. But if you are someone, you're not yourself a blacksmith, but you have a bunch of mats and you want them forged into a great sword, you can put that work order up, list your mats,
Eso está
offer
guay.
a commission, and a skilled blacksmith
Eso está muy chulo, la verdad.
can make you the weapon of your dreams.
I think we left out one thing,
Claro, pero
though.
eso lo está pidiendo otra persona.
Be a Drakthir,
No,
go to Dragon Isles. Can I have a dragon?
What's the fantasy of dragons if not soaring over the lands? And so we're really excited to introduce a feature that we're calling dragon riding. It's dynamic with everything from momentum to
Van a
dive
cambiar las
bombs,
monturas
the
para que estén
ability
más
to
chulas.
just sort of build that speed up and
Y
feel
tengas
the
algo de
world rushing
movilidad.
past you.
Ojo,
in a
que
way
ahora
that's
vas a-
much
parece
more
que el juego
exciting
ahora
than
sí que es de
traditional flight
2022.
beta available in the
Más o
past,
menos.
but that's also available for
Y
players
aún
through
así,
a
yo qué sé.
customizable Dragon
Estiran un
mount
poquito más las
right
texturas.
from the start.
Solo con los dragones,
So-
Sí, sí.
This
No
is a
sé.
skill
Que tu
you
puto
learn
bicho no
over
vuele en
time,
una
right, to
línea
become
recta
an awesome
y baje
dragon
también.
rider.
Yes, to be
Literalmente
able
sin
to sort
moverse.
of upgrade.
Eso está chulo, ya simplemente eso ya está chuli.
But you will have this new form of
Y no es difícil de hacer eso.
And the
va.
Dragon Companion that you have is, of course,
Es algo que podían haber
very
metido hace
customizable,
3
which is
años.
a new thing for us for mounts. This is not just a generic dragon that everyone has,
También digo
but
que
a
metan
drake
eso
that
solo
is
para los dragones.
yours.
Vaya huevos que-
What do you want its scales to look like? Horns, the shape of its head, other attachments, armor pieces, and more. Take your pick.
This is so cool.
So yes, the Dragonflight expansion is going to see players leveling to 70, going to the all-new continent of the Dragon Isles, which consists of 5 zones,
como siempre.
4 standard leveling zones, and a new starter zone for our Drakthir class, as well as a range of systems revamps, such as a new talent system, an
Me voy a hacer un
overhaul and
draki
update to our
tiki-tiki de
UI,
esos que
and an
juego.
entirely
Claro,
fresh
tú
look
y
at
todo,
professions, with more depth
Más
than
empieza a
ever
58.
before. Also getting around the Dragon Isles is going to come in the form of dragon riding, which
A ver
lets
si
you
se lo de la
customize and
mazmorra.
upgrade your own
¡Oh,
mount.
Qué chulo está, está muy
Está
chulo.
guapo, ¿eh?
Este es
Of
un
course,
dragón
as with
compro
any new
tipo
expansion,
dragón.
we have a new set of dungeons, a raid, and much more to come.
We also have an alpha that will be starting up in the future.
Check out our website for more information, and keep an eye out for those opt-in signups if you want to help us test out Dragonflight and give us even more feedback to make it better.
We do have a deep dive that follows this, so please stay around. Classic players, we haven't forgotten about you.
Ajá.
Dame
Probably
leche.
guess where we're going to go next. One of the all-time favorite expansions for World of Warcraft. Let's watch the
Que
cinematic.
den
Ay,
por culo a
coño.
los dragones.
Cae Lich. Saca Lich.
¿Es distinta? ¿Es distinta?
Igual es un remake de la antigua, ¿eh?
Claro, que la hagan más linda y ya está. Es que los dragones por el culo.
Está forjando en la espada.
La verdadera noticia de hoy.
La verdad noticia, ¿cómo vas a jugar a lo que quiera que saquen en retail?
Voy a jugar a las dos, pues quiero jugar a Lich.
Como aunque sea la peor expansión que saquen en mucho tiempo, te la vas a comer entera.
Sí, me gustan las míticas, lo siento.
Sí, sí.
Reforzada.
Esto no lo sacaron en 1803.
The very
Son los bosques de los
forests
Orderos
of
susurran tu
Lordaeron
nombre.
whispered the name Arthas.
Hartas.
Qué ganas tengo de pelear contra arpas, tío.
Pues ya ves.
When my days have come to an end, you shall be king.
La aventura clásica continúa.
2022. Lo
¡Oh!
dije. Lo dije que iba a salir este año.
A finales, entonces.
Let's go.
Y retail saldrá a principios de 2023.
It's just incredible, isn't it? Every time I see
Pues me
the
toca leer.
cinematic, I get chills. No pun intended, I get chills.
No
As you
chistaco.
saw, Wrath of the Lich King Classic is coming this year. It brings back so many memories. When you see that cinematic, what do you remember from Wrath of the Lich King?
Anytime you want to talk about undead frozen dragons, how can you not go back to Sindragosa as the source? That was the first expansion I played with my youngest son. So I can remember on that platform, black goo and chunks of ice falling off and having to repeat that battle with the Lich King. But when we finally downed him, it was such an incredible moment. He jumped up out of his room and I jumped up out of my office. We're like, yeah, did it. So it's a very lasting tale for me.
So as you know, with this expansion, you will, in pre-patch, be able to play the Death Knight. They will start at level 55. You don't have to have a high-level character to make a Death Knight. So
¡Oh, cómo voy a hacer un DK!
one.
We're excited to give players some
¿Cómo me
time
voy a hacer un
before
DK?
Wrath officially launches to get geared up and ready to jump into North.
Ay, verdad, si tengo un puto
And
busteo.
there are so many zones and areas to
Da igual, me hace un
explore
DK.
in Northrend, and I want us to talk about some of our favorites. So for me, Grizzly Hills has a very special place in my heart. The music was some of the best I've experienced in World of Warcraft.
I still make my way all the way up to Storm Peaks to try and find the time lost Protodrake, and have yet to get it.
I've got to say Dragonblight. The wide open nature of the zone, Wormrest temple in the center of it.
Píxeles.
It's an unforgettable expansion as both a developer and a player, and kind of making that transition from one to the other.
Now let's talk about some changes. So one thing we looked at is Dungeon Finder, and it feels like how we envision Classic, Dungeon Finder is not a good fit for our community.
That was kind of the first step that may have eroded some of that social fabric. Now, as people have gone through the experience of going back to vanilla, rebuilding those groups, relying on each other, not wanting necessarily a random participant just to show up and then leave.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
But today, you can do that in Shadowlands. You'll be able to do that in Dragonflight. It's a self-selected group of people who specifically want that different experience.
Yes.
Let's make sure that's what we continue to give them.
That leads right into arena teams in Burning Crusade Classic. So we listen to the community and we remove that because individual rating is preferable, a better experience for them than arena teams. Also, with Wrath of the Lich King, Barbershop, which allows you to customize your character. We're
Ah, lo
going to
metieron
be
el Lich.
adding a few more options
Espera,
that were
déjame esto.
not existing when Wrath launched.
La
But also
peluquería,
there's
sí.
another side of this where we are not going to charge a real money fee. It was a paid character customization fee, right?
Yeah.
It seems the right thing to do that just be available in game
Ah, o sea,
gold and we add more
para
options
cambiarte
to
el
it, right?
personaje de pelo y
Sort of
todo
like
eso tenías que
spellbashing in a
pagar,
sense.
¿verdad?
There's a lot
De
of
verdad.
technical advancements, and it's not about the philosophy
En
of
Lich.
what makes classic classic and what brings people together. It's just what's the better experience, and let's not artificially restrict something that we can provide a better version of just for the sake of nostalgia. And we're happy to say this is one of those cases.
So Wrath, the level cap's being increased to level 80, so we'll be introducing a level 70 boost so that
Míralo.
players who want to get in with their friends
está.
or just explore Northrend right away will be able to do that. You can't apply it to a Death Knight, but you will be able to use it otherwise. And of
¿Cómo me voy a
course,
subir un
we
paladín?
have Inscription, a whole
A
new
70,
profession,
Buah.
so we're really excited about that.
en
Yeah, and as we continue this road to Wrath, we're going to be looking to getting a lot more feedback on beta, and we'll make changes as we need to.
Such an exciting time
Entonces en
to
el
be playing
WoW,
World of
hasta
Warcraft.
que
We
salga
have
la
the
expansión
return
esta,
of
no van a
the
meter
Lich
nada.
King for classic fans.
Falta un parche.
And taking us somewhere new with Dragonflight. We're so excited to be able to bring these adventures to you. Don't forget, there's a deep dive on Dragonflight where you're going to get a lot more information.
Queda
Thank you
literalmente
so
mitad,
much
medio año.
for spending this time with us, and
O
we'll see
más
you
de
in
medio
Azeroth.
año y no van a
I'll
meter
see you
dos
in
al final.
Northrend.
Top
And in the
compañías que
Dragon
más
Isles.
dinero gana del mundo. Come las mismas 10 míticas 2 años. Champions Grind.
Hi there. Welcome to the
luego te sacan
Dragonflight Deep
a los
Dive.
dragones que
I'm
son
Steve
más feos que
Denuser.
su puta
And I'm
madre.
Taryn Gregory. Starting it off here, we're going to talk about the setting.
Me gustaría que hubiesen enseñado algo más de la expansión, la
We've got this
verdad.
great expansion.
Van a hacerlo ahora.
Exciting pre-rental
No,
van a hacerlo ahora.
everyone just watched.
Claro.
No, no, van a indagar
Ahora
más.
el
Setting
resumen
for
era.
Dragonflight.
Sí, han
Dragon
dicho literalmente el
The
resumen.
Dragon Isles have been known for a long time in Warcraft history
Sí.
as a mysterious
Dos
place
clases,
where
sí.
the dragons came from long ago, but we never knew much more than that.
We're going to this place that is kind of the broodlands of all the Dragonflights, the place where they
Big
nested,
head.
where they built their civilization. The Dragon Isles was the center of the Dragon's kingdom.
Ah,
when
esto
the
era
world was
Azeroth
young and
antes
the
de-
mortal races were just starting to form kingdoms of their own.
explotarse
But
el pozo
when
de la
the
eternidad.
Legion invaded for that War of the Ancients, that sundering that resulted from the explosion of the Well of Eternity,
Literal,
broke the world.
literal sundering of the continents of
Lo que quiero
Azeroth.
saber es dónde
And
cojones está.
because of the breaking of the world, that magic kind of drained away and the land went dormant. So they had to
O
leave
sea,
the Dragon
en
Isles
la beta
behind.
del, o
As
sea, en
we
el
saw in the
Classic
pre-render,
estaba
they
arriba a la
left
izquierda
behind
de los
some
reinos del Este.
Titan Watchers to look over the land, and when someday they hoped that
No,
elements
está en
of
el mar.
energy
Está en el
would
mar.
resurge once again and draw the dragons home and
Ah, bueno.
reestablish their kingdom.
And that's when the message goes out to the flights and they feel it in their bones.
Now it's the time for the sky to light up with the colors of the aspects once again, and for Alex Straza and the others to come home. But the land has changed a lot in all these thousands of years they've been away, and some very old threats have awakened as well.
We're looking into the culture of dragons as they exist in Warcraft.
Dragons, as we know them today, were very
La mejor
different
noticia, el
in the
Insta70
early past,
Classic.
the early history of Azeroth. They were much more
40
primitive, much more
pavetes.
savage,
Mira,
what
Galacron.
we now know as proto-dragons.
And then some of the dragons were empowered to become the aspects. The green flight, red flight, blue flight,
no han dado
bronze
fecha.
flight, black flight, each with unique powers, each with the ability to
No,
protect the
2022
world in
Lich.
different ways. These pillars of draconic power appointed to defend Azeroth from threats.
2025, ¿no?
2023 debería ser, pero es que no han dado fecha.
Both for good in the case of most of the aspects, but also for nefarious
Deberían de haber puesto al menos
reasons in the
2023,
case
pero que
of
no pongan
the
ni
Black
fecha
Dragonflight
me da miedo.
led by Neltharion, who would become Deathwing.
And what we will find in Dragonflight is that some of these ancient divisions run deep, and so it begs the question, where do we go from here? If this is an opportunity to reclaim their legacy, to be the protectors, as the cinematic mentioned, that they once were.
¿Cuánto duró el último parche de BCA?
To come to the Dragon Isles with them.
Por esa regla de 3 sale este año.
Reawakening challenges, because it's not just that this land
Bueno,
is
en enero.
peacefully waiting for the dragons to return and reclaim it. There's those old enemies that have awakened as well. One of those being a race of kind of elemental half giants, the Jarden.
The Dragon Isles isn't just populated by dragons or just by the Jarden. There's also many other occupants here in the Dragon Isles that have been here either just recently or for a while, including a fan favorite coming back, the Tuskar.
¡Ojo, los de Raga Norte!
¿Cómo me gustan estos?
Están increíbles.
Ojalá fuera la raza jugable.
Ya ves.
Eso está en Lich también, ¿no?
Tiene un LOL.
Sí, te escupo en la boca.
Yo me echaba un Rainbow.
Yo también.
Al Rainbow voy.
Al Rainbow va.
Y... Espérate, Cacam. Y si sale Golación, yo ya me corro.
Va a salir 100%.
Va a salir. Hombre, es su expansión.
¿Te imaginas que es un bot de raid igual que Nialota?
Quedamos echando nosotros una, Gondeo.
¿Qué?
Estamos echando nosotros una, si quieres.
Neltharion saw those primal
Porque esto me lo tengo repetido.
away from the aspects and what they wanted. And so, in those first experiments, he took the essence of dragons, their strength, their nobility, their wisdom, and he combined it with that scrappiness, that adaptability that the mortal race has had, and he wanted to use that to create the ideal soldier.
O sea, que están creados para la muerte.
Sí.
Exploration is really one of the key themes of this expansion. We're going to be going to this ancient place that the dragons left behind long ago. So we've made these huge zones with all
Coño, parecen las 1000 agujas.
Sí, lo que te iba a decir, me mola mucho.